In the year 2147, Earth spun quietly beneath its shield of clouds and sky. Nations had rebuilt, cities had risen from the ashes of past wars, and for the first time in decades, the world was at peace. But peace, like glass, could shatter in silence. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, hidden from the public eye, lay Earth's most guarded secret, Oceanic Command Base Theta, headquarters of Earth's orbital defense. Walls of reinforced alloy lined the corridors, humming with the quiet pulse of power flowing through buried systems. There, in a chamber lit with cold blue light, stood Commander Darren Holt. Tall, broad-shouldered, and built like a man shaped by war, Holt had the steady eyes of someone who'd seen too much and kept going anyway. His short black hair was peppered with gray at the edges. He wore a dark Earth defense uniform, unadorned, save for a silver badge on his chest, Survivor of Orion. It was a badge few carried, and none wore proudly. He stood before a wide projection screen, hands behind his back, watching as space unfolded in silence. Thousands of satellites and probes fed data into the room. For weeks, the readings had been clean. But not today. A junior analyst approached cautiously. "Sir, anomaly detected in Sector 8 Luna. Unidentified mass entering the system. Too large for asteroid class. No known IFF signals." Holt didn't respond immediately. His jaw tightened slightly. He had been waiting for this. "Zoom in. Show me trajectory." The projection shifted. A pale arc crossed near the moon, its shape long and curved like the blade of a scythe. Energy signatures danced around it, faint, but consistent. And behind it, more followed. Dozens of them. "Get me orbital confirmation," Holt ordered. A technician tapped rapidly at his station. Confirmed. Multiple contacts. 39 vessels. All entering from dark space. Mass classification, heavy cruiser to dreadnought scale. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. These weren't traders. These weren't peaceful explorers. This was a fleet. "Origin?" Holt asked. "Unknown," the tech replied. "But sir, signal echoes match partial Taroxian signatures." That name chilled the air like a sudden winter wind. The Taroxians. The apex predators of deep space. Eight-limbed reptilian beings with a long history of conquest. Earth had tangled with them briefly during the Orion conflict. It had not gone well. Holt turned away from the screen and faced the room. "Initiate Protocol Aegis 1. Alert all orbital defense units. Blackout civilian broadcasts. This doesn't leave the room until we say it does. Aegis 1, the first step of Earth's hidden retaliation plan." Only the highest-ranking officers even knew it existed. He walked quickly through the corridor toward the command bridge, the polished floor reflecting the weight in his steps. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Narration, caught up to him. "Do you think it's a scouting party, sir?" "No," Holt said without breaking stride. "Scouts don't bring dreadnoughts." They entered the bridge. Operators snapped to attention. Holograms flickered in the air, orbital maps, ship data, Earth's defense grid forming in real time. Chin leaned in. "If it's Taroxians, they'll hit hard and fast." "I know," Holt said. "But this time, we hit back harder." He activated a hidden panel beside his chair. A second layer of the hologram came alive. Beneath the surface of Earth, above its clouds, between satellites and silent drones, Aegis waited. It had never been used. Until now. Back on the surface, the world remained unaware. Children went to school, people worked, skies were clear. But above them, something had entered Earth's skies that did not belong. In a distant part of space, Commander Korithvek of the Taroxian War Fleet stared at Earth through the crystal walls of his command deck. A human world. Weak. Underevolved. He didn't see a threat. He didn't know what waited for him. The darkness of space shimmered with movement. The Taroxian fleet slipped into Earth's orbit like a swarm of silent sharks. 40 vessels hung just beyond the moon, sleek, black, and armed. No lights marked their hulls. No signals were sent. They came with confidence, not caution. At the head of the formation was the Dread Hammer, the Taroxian command ship. It was over 3 kilometers long, shaped like a curved blade, with jagged ridges and glowing red scars along its surface. From inside, Commander Korithvek watched Earth slowly rotate on the screen before him. Korith stood tall, his skin like dark bronze scales, his yellow eyes narrow and unreadable. Forearms hung at his sides, 2 for control, 2 for war. His head crest flicked in satisfaction. He had invaded 12 worlds. Earth would be the 13th. Primitive, he muttered in his language, a series of sharp clicks and low tones. A sleeping child in the path of fire. His first officer, Riak, approached. Scans confirm low orbital defenses. Sparse satellite coverage. Energy readings suggest weak global tech grid. Vec hissed softly, amused. They hide in clouds. They think we won't come. They forget what Taroxians do. With a wave of his clawed hand, Vec ordered the message to be sent. Deep beneath the Pacific, in the Oceanic Command Base, alarms chimed. Commander Holt stood at the center of the command bridge, arms crossed, eyes locked on the transmission now playing above them. A tall, scaled figure appeared on the hologram Vec. His voice was translated by the defense AI, turning alien clicks into words that echoed across the room. To the creatures of Earth, you are not ready for the stars. Your weapons are stone. Your minds, soft. We offer no peace. Lay down your orbitals. Submit. Or vanish. The message ended. The silence that followed was thicker than steel. One of the younger operators muttered, "He sounds sure of himself." Holt didn't blink. Pride makes a fine blindfold. He turned to Lieutenant Chin. Time to respond. Chin raised an eyebrow. You want to send a message back? No, Holt said flatly. Activate Aegis 2. Let our silence speak. Far above Earth, hidden between satellites and floating debris, Project Aegis stirred. It had been silent for years, gathering energy, learning from enemy patterns, and waiting for Holt's command. Dozens of stealth satellites powered on. Their cores hummed with plasma energy. Invisible drone units aligned themselves in strategic positions around the planet. Earth's orbital armor, invisible and untested, was now awake. Below, inside the base, the bridge shifted to red alert. Defense shields powered up. AI protocols scanned every Taroxian ship, logging their designs, patterns, and weak points. Sir, said Chin, eyes on the tactical display, they're charging weapons. Let them, Holt replied. They fire first, we answer last. In orbit, the Taroxian fleet positioned itself for a show of strength. Commander Vec stood at the center of his bridge, observing. Charge forward batteries, he ordered. Fire a warning blast across their upper atmosphere. No need to waste real force. React nodded. Done. Seconds later, red beams of plasma shot from 4 cruisers. They cut through space, screaming toward Earth like fire from a god's hand. But as the plasma hit Earth's upper orbit, nothing happened. The beams fizzled into empty sparks and vanished like water on glass. Impact absorbed, React said, puzzled. No reaction. No fire. No burn. Vec narrowed his eyes. Send another wave. This time, full strength. 12 ships fired in unison. The combined energy was enough to melt a small moon. Still, nothing. The weapons dissolved against an unseen wall. Vec slammed one fist into the console. What sorcery is this? Back on Earth, Holt watched quietly. They're testing us, Chin said. Trying to figure out what stopped them. They'll figure it out too late, Holt replied. They brought heat. We brought silence. The command bridge lit up with motion as Aegis adapted in real time. Data flowed. Countermeasures calibrated. The drones repositioned themselves to flank any ships that moved closer. We ready to respond? Holt asked. All systems locked and loaded, Chin confirmed. Then wait. He walked to the observation window, staring up toward the invisible battlefield above. In space, the Taroxians regrouped. Confusion spread across the fleet. Their pride cracked, just a little. Earth should have fallen already. On board the Dread Hammer, Vec growled. Send a strike team. One of their orbital stations. Wipe it out. As the order was given, a squad of Taroxian fighters launched from one of the cruisers. They raced toward what appeared to be an unshielded satellite station near Earth's upper orbit. They closed in fast, 50 kilometers, 30, 10. And then, the air around them pulsed. Each fighter was suddenly surrounded by a shimmer of light, like heat waves underwater. The next second, they disappeared. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. React scales stiffened. All strike fighters lost. Vec snarled, voice sharp and low. How? React hesitated. Unknown. No sign of weapons. No interception detected. They were simply removed. Commander Holt watched the live feed as it unfolded. The Aegis AI calmly noted, enemy strike group neutralized. 0 casualties. Energy barrier efficiency, 97.4%. Chin gave a low whistle. They just blinked out. Holt said nothing. His face stayed calm, but inside, he felt the shift. Earth had been underestimated. Let them keep underestimating. Prep Phase 3, Holt ordered. They've knocked on our door. Time to let them feel the hinges shake. In the cold darkness above, the war had not yet begun. But the warning had been sent. Earth was not undefended. And the Taroxians had just learned that too late. Above the Earth, the stars burned quietly, but war had already begun. The Taraxian fleet hovered in confusion, their confidence slipping into frustration. Commander Korithvek paced across the command platform of the Dread Hammer, his claws clicking sharply against the polished floor. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the silent planet below. 3 strike groups lost, Riak reported. All without signs of engagement. No debris. No response transmission. Earth's defenses remain invisible. Invisible, Vec repeated, his voice a low growl. Did they hide their weapons in shadows? Or did we miss something? He turned to the viewing screen, where Earth hung like a quiet gem in the black. This world dares to mock us. Riak hesitated before speaking. Should we consider orbital bombardment? Vec didn't answer. His pride stung. Taraxians had conquered dozens of worlds with ease, firepower, brute force, overwhelming presence. Earth, however, had become a mystery. That made it dangerous. Far below, deep in Oceanic Command Base Theta, Commander Darren Holt stood at the center of the war room, watching live data streams flicker across the curved wall displays. Aegis was active and performing better than even he had hoped. Enemy patrols are pulling back, said Lieutenant Mirachin, reading the satellite logs. They're trying to find a weak point in the shield. So far, they've found none. Good, Holt said. Let them keep guessing. A holographic model of the Earth rotated slowly in front of them, surrounded by orbiting drones, each connected to Aegis, Earth's hidden planetary defense network. The drones didn't carry visible weapons. They didn't need to. Their function was smarter than raw firepower. Designed after the Orion conflict, Aegis was Earth's answer to superior alien fleets. It combined stealth satellites, plasma absorption fields, adaptive AI swarms, and kinetic interceptor drones, capable of analyzing and responding to enemy behavior in seconds. Unlike other weapons, Aegis didn't shout. It whispered. It let enemies strike first, only to disappear in silence. Open connection to Global Relay Network, Holt ordered. It's time the rest of the world knew what's coming. In cities across the globe, broadcast screens flickered. Civilian networks were overridden as a single message was sent out from Earth Defense Command. Commander Holt's face appeared on every channel. This is Commander Darren Holt of Orbital Defense, he said calmly. We are under alien threat. The fleet you may have seen from amateur telescopes is hostile. However, Earth is not unprotected. For years, we've prepared for this. Images flashed across the screen, blurry glimpses of sleek drones, shadowy satellite grids, and shifting barrier fields over the upper atmosphere. The system protecting us is called Project Aegis. It was built not to wage war, but to stop it. So far, it has done exactly that. Remain calm. Stay informed. Trust our shield. The message ended. On the surface, people watched in silence. Fear mixed with awe. Earth, long thought small and behind, was not helpless after all. In orbit, the message was intercepted by the Taraxians. Commander Vec watched the broadcast with rising fury. They show us their weapon, and still stand proud? Riak shook his head. It was a warning. No, Vec snarled. It was a challenge. He turned to his officers. Deploy Siege Formation Gamma. We will break their armor. Tear open the sky if we must. The Taraxian fleet moved into a new pattern. Large dreadnoughts rotated forward. Plasma reactors surged with power. Earth's outermost satellites, decoys planted by Aegis, were targeted and destroyed in bursts of red light. Commander Holt watched silently as several of the fake satellites blinked out. Phase 2 of their attack, Chen said. Heavy siege positioning. Looks like they want to crush us through brute force. Typical, Holt replied. They still believe we're playing by their rules. He gave a subtle nod. Release Sentinel Swarm Alpha. From hidden ports along Earth's equator, hundreds of sleek drone pods launched into the sky. They climbed fast, curving through low orbit before splitting apart. Each released 5 smaller drones, silent, black, and fast. These were Sentinels, programmed to adapt to enemy patterns and strike with calculated precision. The Sentinels didn't engage all at once. They didn't need to. They waited, surrounding the Taraxian fleet in a ghost net. When a Taraxian destroyer turned to reposition, a cluster of Sentinels activated. One fired a magnetic pulse at the ship's plasma core, disrupting its heat flow. Another hacked its targeting system. The last one launched a kinetic spike, smaller than a missile, faster than a bullet, directly into the engine housing. The destroyer spun, lights flickering. Then, silence. From a distance, it looked like the ship had simply gone to sleep. One by one, other drones followed suit, striking with precision, then vanishing. Inside the Dread Hammer, Chaos erupted. Multiple ships unresponsive. React shouted. They're not being destroyed, they're being shut down. Where are the attackers? Vec demanded. No visual contact, just system malfunctions. We don't know what's hitting us. Commander Vec snarled, fist clenched. This is no war, it's a trap. They knew we'd come. React looked shaken. Sir, perhaps Earth is not the prey we believed. On Earth, Holt stood before the main display, now showing 5 Taroxian ships disabled, 2 more turning away. The AI voice chimed, cold and calm. Enemy strength reduced. No losses sustained. Aegis adaptation 84% complete. Lieutenant Chen smiled faintly. They didn't see it coming. Holt nodded. And that's exactly how we'll win this. He paused, watching Earth rotate slowly below the orbit map. This planet isn't just our home, he said. It's our fortress. In the cold silence of space, the Taroxian fleet reeled. Their pride had taken the first blow. Their confidence cracked. And Earth, once underestimated, stood hidden behind an armor that could neither see nor understand. But this was only the beginning. The Taroxian fleet drifted in uneasy formation above Earth. The stars that once seemed to shine with conquest now looked cold and distant. Inside the dread hammer, silence filled the command deck, but tension screamed from every corner. Commander Korth Vec stood still, arms crossed tightly over his chest. His gaze locked onto the growing list of disabled ships on the display. Red alerts flickered across the screen, systems fried, crews unresponsive, reactors offline. He said nothing. The fleet officers around him waited for orders, but none came. His pride, once so sharp and unshakable, now bent under the weight of confusion. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth was not a major power. They had no colonies, no alliances, no interstellar fleet. But somehow, they had built something the Taroxians could not understand, and worse, could not defeat. Report, he growled. React stepped forward. We've lost 7 ships to enemy countermeasures. No visual contact with attackers. No projectile trails. They vanished before detection. And the others? Vec asked coldly. Systems are failing without being touched. Our comm relays are scrambled. Targeting is unreliable. Shields fluctuating without cause. Vec bared his teeth. They're inside our fleet, and we can't even see them. He slammed his fist into the console. This is not a battle. This is humiliation. Meanwhile, on Earth, inside Oceanic Command Base Theta, Commander Darren Holt stood in front of the war map. The holographic Earth spun slowly, now encased in a glowing ring of activity. Dozens of enemy vessels hovered just outside the planet's upper orbit. Aegis had surrounded them with silence, and now it squeezed. Lieutenant Mirachin approached, tablet in hand. Enemy movement slowing. Scans show hesitation across their formations. Some ships are repositioning away from Earth's orbital boundary. They're afraid to move forward. Holt nodded. They're learning. Slowly. We could press now. Deploy Sentinel Wave Beta, maybe even hit their command vessel. No, Holt said calmly. Not yet. Let them turn on each other first. Chen looked up. You think they'll break from the inside? They always do, Holt said. When pride meets failure, someone has to take the blame. Let them start pointing fingers. On the dread hammer, React stepped close to his commander, voice low. Sir, we must consider fallback protocol. Vec turned sharply. Fallback. Yes. This shield. This defense system. It's unlike anything in our logs. We have no strategy to counter it yet. I suggest retreating to the edge of the system. We reanalyze and return with full Empire support. Vec's eyes burned. You suggest we flee from a dirt world? I suggest we survive, sir. Before we lose the fleet. Silence fell. Other officers shifted uncomfortably. Some exchanged glances, but none spoke. Vec narrowed his eyes. Cowards speak of retreat. I speak of victory. But at what cost? React replied, quietly. Vec turned away. His silence was louder than anger. Within Earth's command center, the AI system reported, Taroxian fleet cohesion, weakening. Internal command structure stability, 62%. Suggest initiating psychological disruption. Do it, Holt ordered. From one of the stealth satellites, a signal burst was transmitted. Not a weapon, but a message beamed directly into the enemy fleet's internal communication grid. It was a loop transmission. Footage taken from a disabled Taroxian destroyer. No explosions, no screams, just power failing, lights flickering, systems dying. Calm. Silent. Precise. Below the footage, translated words in Taroxian script. Your enemy is not in front of you. It is already inside. On the dread hammer, The message arrived. Officers froze as they watched the recording on their screens. The command center of one of their own ships, dark and quiet, life signs vanishing one by one. What is this? Vec roared. Riak read the message aloud. Vec's hands trembled. Riak stepped forward again. I steady. They know us. They've studied us. Every time we strike, they answer without sound. We must fall back. We must adapt. Vec said nothing. He looked at his officers, their expressions no longer loyal but uncertain. Then he turned to the viewing screen, staring at Earth once more. This world had wounded him, in silence, in strategy, in pride. It was a scar he would not forget. In the ocean base, Chin leaned over the console. Enemy movement. Looks like half the ships are backing off. Commander, we fractured their fleet. Holt studied the map. Their commander will never retreat completely. He'll push once more. He has to. His pride won't allow anything less. So what's the plan? Holt turned, voice calm but sharp. We let him come. We prepare the trap. Far above Earth, Vex summoned all remaining warships forward. The final line of Taroxian strength gathered. Shields surged, plasma cannons charged, and engines burned hot. He would strike once more. One decisive push to crush this planet's illusion of strength. Back in the command base, Aegis began adjusting patterns. The AI pulled back the drones, allowing a narrow path to appear, just wide enough for the enemy to believe Earth had a weakness. Commander Holt stood still, watching the approaching red dots on the display. Let him see what he wants to see, Holt said. We'll end this in orbit. The final attack was coming. And Earth was ready. The void above Earth shimmered with tension. The stars remained cold and distant, unaware of the storm building near the blue planet. For the first time since entering the system, the Taroxian fleet moved with renewed purpose. Commander Korath Vec had made his choice, one final assault. No retreat. No diplomacy. No surrender. Within the command deck of the Dread Hammer, Taroxian officers scrambled to final stations. The massive vessel glowed with red energy, plasma cores rotating in preparation for full-scale bombardment. Commander Vec stood tall at the front, arms behind his back. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with rage. This ends now, he said. No more games. No more hiding. Earth dies today. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in Oceanic Command Base Theta, the atmosphere was steady but alert. Commander Darren Holt watched the live feed with unwavering focus. Around him, Earth's tactical minds moved through final checks. Drones, satellites, and Aegis nodes aligned across the planet's upper orbit. The final defense net was ready. Lieutenant Mirachin stepped beside him, voice low but firm. All enemy ships are in attack formation. Their dreadnoughts are leading. Energy spikes suggest they'll fire in less than 4 minutes. Holt nodded slowly. Perfect. Just where we want them. On the central display, Aegis had shifted its posture. A narrow corridor of empty space remained open above Earth, a fake weakness. It led directly to what the enemy believed was an unshielded zone over the southern hemisphere. That corridor was a trap. Inside it waited swarm vectors, magnetic mines, and drone assassins programmed to engage at exact coordinates. The AI had calculated Vec's strategy before it was even ordered. Let them through, Holt said. Then we shut the door behind them. The Taroxian fleet surged forward. 12 dreadnoughts and their escorts advanced into the corridor. As they crossed into the zone, their plasma cannons charged to full. This is it, Riak muttered. They think we found a weakness. They have, Vex said, with pride. Ours to exploit. But within minutes, that pride began to crack. The first sign was small. One cruiser drifted slightly off course, its thrusters stalling. Then another's targeting system flickered, switching targets without command. And then came the light, not from the ships, but from the shadows. The empty corridor around them ignited in a silent flash as Aegis activated its hidden grid. Drones poured from every direction, sleek, fast, and near invisible. They sliced through space, targeting engines, reactors, and command bridges with precision. The Taroxians never saw them coming. Inside the command base, Holt gave the final order. Engage full lockdown. No escape. Aegis sealed the corridor. A magnetic field arched across the sky, locking the Taroxian ships in a closed path. Every possible exit closed in seconds. They're boxed, engine said. Time to break the box, Holt replied. Earth's kinetic launchers fired. From hidden platforms in orbit, tungsten rods the size of telephone poles were released. No explosives. Just speed, mass, and gravity. They struck the Taroxian fleet with the force of meteorites. One dreadnought took a direct hit to its midsection, its hull bent inward, then shattered. Another ship exploded as its energy core went critical, engulfing nearby vessels in fire. Taroxian screams echoed through their channels. On the Dread Hammer, systems failed one by one. Sparks flew from panels. Lights flickered. React shouted over alarms, "We've been trapped." They knew. Vex staggered forward, claws gripping the command rail. "No. Earth is nothing. They—" His voice stopped as the ship jolted violently. A drone had pierced the outer hull. Another blast shook the bridge. The great warship, once feared across galaxies, began to fall. Holt stared at the display as one red marker after another vanished from the map. Ships disabled. Systems fried. Drones hunting anything that moved. "Dreadhammer's down," Chen said. "Signal intercepted," a comms officer added. "Commander Vex last message audio only." Holt nodded. "Play it." A short, broken transmission came through. "You were not prey. You were waiting." Silence followed. Above Earth, the Taroxian fleet was gone. Most of their ships floated, dark and powerless. Others had burned out completely. A few managed to break orbit, limping into deep space. But they would carry the memory with them, the memory of a planet that didn't fall. Back in the command base, cheers broke out. Officers smiled, clapped shoulders, some sat back in their chairs with tears in their eyes. Earth was safe. But Holt remained still. "This wasn't just a victory," he said. "It was a message." Chen looked over. "To the Taroxians?" "To the galaxy," Holt replied. "We are not to be underestimated." He turned to the observation window, where the ocean shimmered quietly above the base. "We don't conquer. We don't invade. But if you come for Earth," he paused, "you'll find the sky waiting to strike." The battle was over. But Earth had changed forever. The sky above Earth was quiet again. What was once filled with hostile vessels, blinding plasma, and deadly silence now held only drifting metal, remnants of the Taroxian fleet. Some ships remained frozen in orbit, powerless and empty. Others had already fallen into Earth's gravity, their wreckage burning up in the upper atmosphere like meteors. But Earth stood untouched, protected, victorious. In the deep waters beneath the Pacific Ocean, inside Oceanic Command Base Theta, Commander Darren Holt walked the length of the command bridge. The room, once tense and buzzing with activity, was now filled with calm efficiency. Officers were still at their stations, running post-battle diagnostics, but the weight of fear had lifted. Lieutenant Mirachin approached him. Her eyes were tired, but her smile was genuine. "Clean sweep," she said. "Final report. 38 Taroxian ships disabled, 5 confirmed destroyed, no human casualties." Holt gave a slow nod. "And Aegis?" "Holding stable. 0 system faults. AI core already updating counter strategies based on Taroxian behavior. If they come back, we'll be ready twice as fast." He looked at the central screen, where Earth slowly rotated beneath the remains of battle. There were no cheers now, just quiet respect for what had been done. In orbit, Earth's recovery drones moved with purpose. They gathered debris, captured data from wrecked ships, and disarmed floating wreckage. Some pieces would be studied, others buried. The message had been sent across the stars. Earth was no longer the weak planet at the edge of space. News of the victory spread quickly. Within hours, outposts from neutral alien systems sent cautious messages. Some congratulated Earth. Others asked questions. A few offered respect. One distant system even offered alliance talks. The name Earth had changed overnight. Later that evening, Holt emerged from a long debriefing and walked through the quiet corridors of the base. The weight of leadership sat heavily on him, but for the first time in years, it was balanced by pride. He stepped into his small elevator and ascended through layers of security. Eventually, he reached the ocean surface dome, a transparent observation room floating just above the sea. The sun was setting, casting gold across endless waves. Holt stood alone, looking out at the horizon. Seagulls passed overhead. The water rolled peacefully. He removed his gloves and let his hand touch the glass, feeling the hum of energy beneath the dome. Earth felt alive, strong. Chen arrived quietly, holding 2 cups of hot coffee. She handed him one. "Didn't think I'd still be standing here after today," she said softly. "You are," Holt replied. "We all are." They stood in silence, watching the sky darken. Stars began to appear. Somewhere above, the Aegis drones remained in formation, always watching, always ready. "Think they'll come back?" she asked. "Not soon," Holt said. "Not after what they saw." Later, Holt stood at the entrance of a quiet memorial near the base, the Wall of Orion. Names of the fallen from the previous war were carved in silver. His hand brushed over the names of his wife and daughter. I kept my promise, he whispered. He placed a small badge beneath their names, the silver emblem of Aegis. Not to forget, but to honor. As Earth returned to normal, one thing remained clear: the world had changed. Humanity was now part of something bigger. And though Earth had no empire, no colonies, no desire to expand, it had something greater. It had armor. Armor built from experience, from sacrifice, from unity. And when tested by fire, that armor held. In the stars beyond, whispers began. Civilization spoke Earth's name not with mockery, but with caution. And some, with hope. For if Earth could stand alone, maybe others could too. But Earth didn't need to boast. It simply watched and waited. Aegis remained active, its systems quiet but alert. And Commander Darren Holt returned to duty as always, calm, steady, and ready. Because the sky wasn't just where danger came from. It was now where Earth stood guard.